One quiet day, deep inside the big, blue ocean, a little mermaid woke up with a big smile on her face. Her name was Marina. And she was the youngest of the Sea King's daughters. The ocean floor was her playground, a breathtaking garden of shimmering corals, swaying sea anemones, and the schools of fish that painted the water with every color you could imagine. Her long, flowing hair drifted around her like a silken seaweed halo, and her tail, covered in scales that sparkled like 1,000 emeralds, could propel her through the water with effortless grace. She spent her days exploring hidden grottos, playing tag with dolphins, and listening to her grandmother's enchanting stories of the world above. The surface world, a place of warmth, light, and strange, two-legged creatures called humans. It was her 15th birthday, and in the Mermaid Kingdom, this was a very big deal. It was the day she was finally allowed to swim up to the surface for the very first time. She had been dreaming of this moment for as long as she could remember. Her sisters had all described it to her, the giant, glowing orb in the sky they called the sun, the fluffy white clouds that drifted like jellyfish, and the strange wooden vessels that humans used to glide across the water. Excitement bubbled inside her like the fizzy saffron. She could barely eat her birthday breakfast of sea kelp cakes and pearl dust frosting. After a grand celebration with her family, her father, the Sea King, finally gave her his blessing. "Go, my dear Marina," he sighed, his deep voice echoing through their coral palace. "But be careful. The world above is beautiful, but it can also be unpredictable." Marina hugged her father tightly, her heart thumping with anticipation. With a powerful flick of her tail, she began her ascent. Up, up, up she swam, past schools of curious clownfish, majestic sea turtles, and even a gentle, giant whale who wished her a happy birthday with a low, rumbling song. The water grew warmer and brighter with every stroke. The deep blues and purples of her home slowly transformed into brilliant shades of turquoise and aquamarine. Finally, she broke through the surface, gasping as she took her first deep breath of fresh, salty air. It was more wonderful than she could have ever imagined. The sun was a dazzling ball of fire, so warm and bright it made her blink. It painted the sky in shades of orange and pink as it began to set. And the boats, they were magnificent wooden structures with tall white sails that billowed in the wind, like the fins of a great sea creature. On the deck of the largest ship, music and laughter drifted across the water. And that's when she saw him, a young man, standing at the ship's railing, his dark hair ruffled by the sea breeze, his eyes sparkling with laughter. He was celebrating his own birthday. And Marina thought he was the most handsome creature she had ever seen. Her heart did a little flip-flop in her chest. She had never felt anything like it before. But all of a sudden, the sky turned dark. The wind began to howl, and the calm sea became a churning, angry monster. Huge waves, as tall as mountains, crashed against the ship. The music turned to screams. With a sickening crack of wood, the great vessel tipped and was swallowed by the raging storm. People were thrown into the violent water, clinging to pieces of wreckage. Marina's eyes searched frantically for the young man. She spotted him, struggling to stay afloat as a giant wave crashed over him, pulling him under. "Oh, no more!" she cried, her voice lost in the roar of the storm. Without a second thought, she dove into the chaos and swam towards him with all her might. His eyes were closed, and he was sinking into the dark depths. Marina wrapped her arms around him, her mermaid strength surprising even herself, and pulled him back towards the surface. The storm was relentless, but she was determined. She battled the waves, holding him tight, his head resting against her shoulder. She swam for what felt like an eternity, her arms aching, until she finally reached the sandy shore. Gently, she dragged him out of the water and onto the soft sand, just beyond the reach of the waves. He was still unconscious, but he was breathing. She brushed the wet hair from his forehead, her fingers trembling. She longed to stay, to wait for him to wake up, to hear his voice. But she heard footsteps and voices approaching from a nearby temple. Panicked, she knew she couldn't be seen. With one last, lingering look at his face, she slipped back into the waves and quickly swam back into the safety of the deep. But her heart remained on the shore. But in her father's palace, everything felt different. The beautiful coral garden seemed dull. The songs of the fish sounded sad, and even her sister's company couldn't cheer her up. All she could think about was him. The way his hair curled, the sound of his laughter, the feeling of holding him in her arms. She was deeply, hopelessly in love. She replayed the rescue in her mind 1,000 times, wishing she could have stayed. A deep ache of longing filled her. How could she, a creature of the sea, ever be with a human, a creature of the land? The distance between their worlds felt vast and impossible. She knew she had to see him again, no more matter the cost. She couldn't bear the thought of never looking into his eyes again. An idea, a dangerous and desperate idea, began to form in her mind. Her grandmother had told her stories of the sea witch, a powerful and feared sorceress who lived in the darkest, most treacherous part of the ocean. She was known to grant wishes, but always for a terrible price. Marina knew it was a huge risk. Her father had forbidden anyone from ever going near the sea witch's lair, but the ache in her heart was too strong to ignore. Love made her brave, and love made her reckless. She had to try. So, the very next day, under the cloak of the early morning shadows, she slipped away from the palace. Her mind made up, she swam past the safe, familiar waters of her home and headed straight for the sea witch's door.